fabric of reality is easily ripped from the bosom of Mother Nature, thus exposing the very tits of existence. Tits of existence. Although there are many things that require deep thought and intense personal reflection, most of life's most critical moments are the direct result of a moron pressing a button. Let me get 1.21 gigawatts on pump number 1.
Yeah, brother.
So am I okay to start pumping?
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter which circuit I use?
It doesn't matter.
You know what, this sounds like it might take a minute, so I'm gonna go ahead and rap with you about some music that just came out. A lot of cool stuff came out. Some of it was awesome, some of it was and some of it was So let's go ahead and jump right into it with the first album on our list, Man of the Woods by Justine Timberlake. This album is full of Sunday afternoon backyard barbecue slaps. It's a mix of country folk tunes, new school, and big beat thumpers. This is not a revolutionary album, but it's catchy as fuck, which is okay. Not every album has to save the world. You know, it's hard for me to say much bad about an album that was produced by the Neptunes and Timbaland. Shit, I even bought the Madonna Hard Candy album just because it has the same producers on it, Timbaland and Neptunes, and I rock that shit proudly. And it's the same with this album. Even if you're not a fan of pop music, you have to be impressed with the quality of production on this album. And as you probably guessed, this is a concept album. I guess it's Justin Timberlake going back to his roots. I didn't know he was a country dude, but you know, who knew? I guess that's the case, because even though he's living in like $1 billion home, he's still rocking flannels and jeans. So I guess that's the theme of this album. But I think the actual theme of this album is he's coming back to a more organic frame of mind. It might not manifest 100% in the music, but it's a constant theme that's woven through the songs. And I really enjoyed it. It seems like every Justin Timberlake album, he'll give me 1 or 2 cuts that I can rock with. This album is a little bit different in the fact that there's a few more songs that I can rock with past the traditional 1 or 2. It's kind of nice to hear something a little bit different than the average pop stylings that are on the radio today. He was attempting to do something different, and I appreciate it. And like I said, there's a couple of songs on there that they are bangers. The first single that came out, I guess, was Filthy, and that's, you know, that's pretty cool. I believe Timberland produced that one. And you got a Midnight Summer's Jam. That's the cut. That's the Sunday afternoon barbecue cut. My particular favorite is a song called Supplies. It's kind of hard to explain. It's just weird and quirky enough to get stuck in my mind and have me singing it all week. It kind of goes like,
what? Ain't no way to stop me, girl. What? Ain't no way to stop me, girl. What? Yeah. Okay. Met you out on Broadway on the hottest night in town. You around solo, but we were being chased around. So you being cornered by some guy you used to know. Living between the both, y'all bet I'm where you want to go. When you like when you can't see, be the wood when you need heat. I'll be the generator, turn me on when you need electricity. Some shit's about to go down. I'm the one with the level head. You're working it now, baby. We'll be living in the Walking Dead. Cause I got supply, guys. Supply, guys. I got you, I got supply, guys. Supply, guys. I got supplies. I got supplies.
You know, personally, I miss the Nate Dogg style of R&B or singing. You know, you got the big, heavy hip-hop beat production, and Nate Dogg is singing about the most hoodish content in the most smooth way with an amazing voice. So I'm not so much comparing Justine Timberlake to Nate Dogg, but as in production quality of both of those artists is kind of what I'm looking for when I listen to that type of music. I'm pretty tired of knuckleheads singing a whole album about that lean lifestyle, you know. That's just not what I'm looking for. So altogether, Justine Timberlake's Man of the Woods, this album is not going to cure cancer, but it'll put a smile on your face, make you dance, and I guarantee you'll be singing some of these songs after you're done listening to the album. So Justine Timberlake, Man of the Woods, gets a soda, burger, fries, and we'll leave it there. Soda, burger, and fries.
I only have one thing to say about that. Woo!
The next album up is from the Wu Tang Clan, and it's called WuTang, The Saga Continues. This album, it kind of deviates from the previous albums because this one was not produced by RZA. This one was actually produced by a guy named Mathematics. You might not have heard of him, but I guess he's been with the Wu from the beginning because he's the guy that actually created the Wu-Tang symbol. That's pretty big. That's some classic shit. But, you know, who knew he was a producer? I'll have to look back and see if he did some work on previous albums. I'm not sure. But on this album, I mean, he was doing all right. I was pretty impressed. This album kind of goes back to the original feeling of Wu-Tang Enter the 36 Chambers. In some ways, it does feel like a throwback to the very first album, and personally, that's kind of what I've been looking for, is what I felt was somewhat lacking in the most recent previous attempts. So yeah, this one kind of gets back to that cohesive feeling of one unit moving across a musical landscape. It's never going to be exactly the same because, you know, it's later down the road. People have gone their separate ways and basically had to be pulled back in to accomplish an album like that. And some members have passed on, rest in peace, old dirty bastard. But kind of picking up the slack for ODB is Redman. He's always been like the adopted member of the Wu. And he comes through in a big way on this album. He's basically doing most of the hooks like ODB did on Enter the 36 Chambers. It's a dope addition to the Wu, and I think it was something that they really needed, this type of character in the group. And I'm sure y'all know that Red and Meth, you know, they're like this. So that's another way this album kind of brings in that feeling of cohesiveness. And Mathematics is bringing those beats back and everybody's spitting. So it turned out to be a pretty cool album. There's a couple of cameos on the album. One of my favorites is by Sean Price. Sean P. He passed away a little while ago. He's always been one of my favorite MCs. When it comes to punchlines, his lyrical agility is off the charts. He would always say that he was the greatest alive, and he would always also say that he was on some brokest rapper you know type shit. And the combination of those two made him a very special fixture in the hip-hop community. It's kind of cool that they pulled him into this album. So for this album, Wu-Tang, The Saga Continues, I'm going to give it a soda, burger, and fries.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Right. And for some Wu-Tang extra credit, you definitely want to check out a sublimely beautiful album by a group called Michels Affair. And this album is amazing. The album is called Return to the 37th Chamber. And what it is almost a retelling of a classic story. What they did was, imagine if your favorite and most iconic Wu tracks were analyzed by scientists. Okay, and these scientists extracted the essence of the samples used on your favorite Wu tracks from, say, like Enter the 36 Chambers, Only Built for Cuban Links, Liquid Swords, albums like that you love. And then they injected that essence into a 70s retro funk band, right? So what you get is a mutated hip-hop funk album that shines because of its immaculate and inspired production. So this album is basically covers of Wu-Tang instrumentals, samples and all, except it's played by their awesome band, and the vocals are actually sung by the vocalists in this retro band. This is the hippest hipster shit that I think you'll ever come across. But it's more than that. It's dynamic hipster shit with infinite heart and soul. If you don't love this album, then there's something wrong with you. Something right here in this area. So, Michels Affair, Return to the 37th Chamber, gets a soda, burger, fries, and pie. Next album up is the latest album by Migos, Culture 2. And I'll tell you how I approach this whole situation. I like Migos. I have a lot of their songs on my playlist. Songs like Fight Night, Versace, 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 Handsome and Wealthy, and most recently Bad and Bougie. And I'll even say that some of their stuff is bordering on genius, just in the way that it's all melded together. But I had never listened to a whole Migos album, and I was kind of nervous about it because I didn't want to ruin the opinion of one of the only new school hip-hop groups that I really cared anything about or liked or even felt one way or another about. So I figured that I would kind of lean into it by listening to their first album, Culture. And honestly, I was pretty blown away. I was feeling it pretty much all the way through. The production was hypnotic. The melodies were surprisingly original. I listened to it twice and didn't get bored. That's saying something. So you can imagine I got pretty excited about listening to the follow-up album. And I was supremely disappointed. Their most current album, Culture 2, there's really not much I can say about it because it was basically more of the same from Culture 1, except not as good. It almost seemed like Culture 2 is a playlist of the songs that they left off of the first Culture. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Unfortunately, I give Culture 2 by Migos a soda and a burger. And that burger is generous. I was not going to give them the burger, but, you know, they might still have some hope as leaders of the new school producing good music, which I'm looking forward to. And hopefully they'll deliver.
Ooh, that one hurt, Gene. He's gonna feel that in the morning.
Now it's time to rock and roll with a band that I'm always happy to see doing new stuff. The name of the group is The Darkness, and their latest album is called Pinewood Smile. Now, if you're not familiar with The Darkness, the best way to describe them would be if you take Queen, The Clash, Journey, and Twisted Sister and mash them all together, that would be The Darkness. If you're the type of person that got super juiced when you saw the trailer for, say, Thor Ragnarok and Suicide Squad cranking that high energy 70s hairband metal, then Pinewood Smile by The Darkness might be for you. You should check it out. The lead singer of The Darkness, Justin Hawkins, is probably the closest thing that we're going to get to Freddie Mercury right now. His voice is off the charts. He will remind you of Freddie Mercury, but at the same time, he has his own flavor. And he goes off with an incredible glam rock vocal range that he plays with like a kid that has his favorite toy. You know what I mean? It's that effortless. The band's sound is very similar to Queen in the aspect that it ranges from hard-driving glam metal to high-flying operatic power ballads. And Pinewood Smile is their latest offering featuring a variety of infectious jams. Justin Hawkins' lyrics are dirty, beautiful, irreverent, and playful, as glam metal should be. Tracks on this album like Buccaneers of Hispaniola and Japanese Prisoner of Love explode with enough energy and electricity for like 4 or 5 albums. It's that kinetic headbanging shit that rockets you through time and space, leaving you smiling and laughing as the last note trails off into infinity. It's a real welcome change from the alternative or emo or hipster rock that dominates the top 20 charts right now. The album had me air guitaring all over the place, and I give it a soda, burger, and fries. One of my favorite tracks is The Buccaneers of Hispaniola. It's crazy. I love it. It goes like...
Treasure galleons off the shores of Hispaniola. Every ship that caught my eye, I wouldn't have been stolen. Land mission chandeliers, everybody feels. Roasted bit like manatees and washed down with tears. I am the coolest of all Buccaneers. Illusion, but as locals, I went down to the Codes. Greatest seafarers of all, which they stayed ashore. They studied the islands. Go.
And just a heads up, if you're not a lifelong glam metal fan, you might want to skip the first track on the album. Go straight to the second one. Because on the first track, the lead singer, Justin Hawkins, he's coming in hardcore. He's coming in hot. Like, woo! And I understand that might be a little much for some people. Probably better to ease you into track number 2.
Don't you dare give a disclaimer to those candy asses.
You know, you're all up in my conversation that I'm having with nobody. The least you can do is help me review an album.
Bring it on, Cupcake. Let's do this.
So what did you think of Kendrick Lamar's latest album, Damn?
Kendrick Lamar's album was such a masterpiece. It was so different from every other thing because he changes up the game. He changes up his style, and it just shows his artistic element. It shows the nature of who he is as a rapper, who he is as an artist. So many people are coming off right now and giving off their take of rap, what's hip hop, what's rap, and so many people are disappointed right now. But what Kendrick Lamar does is he does it different. He gives it a different element. He gives something that's not given through any of his other albums. He takes little things here and there, but it's in itself. He's a renaissance man. He's like the Undertaker, changing up the game, changing up his persona, but it still gravitates towards the people, keeping the grasp of our attention. And that's where he gives off that humanity, his pains, his hurts, his life experience. He gives off his perspective of what it is to live life in fame, what's expected of him, understanding that he can't meet up to those expectations, but still he tries and the people respond. He gives perspective of what it is living the life by the Bible, perspective of his cousin Carl, giving him scripture, him still dealing with his humanity, still dealing with the pains and the hurts of his grandmother's dying. He says that nobody's praying for him. Nobody's praying for Kung Fu Kenny, but yet he's still out there giving the best for the people. His passion is rapping. His passion is what he knows to do best. One of my favorite songs was Lust. Reason being is it resonated with me, with my own life. He expresses what we do in our natural state. You know, some of us are trying to be a good person, but sometimes we're lazy. Sometimes we don't want to go to work. Sometimes we want to be with our girl. Sometimes we want to do whatever we want. He talks about how people can complain about one thing, but they still do nothing about it. And that's how society is today. We look at the politics of the world and anything from gun laws to who's sitting in the White House. He expresses it to the point where we complain and we're furious, but we still do nothing about it. All we do is complain. And he expresses that in that song. Let me tell you something. The production of this album was flawless. And the combination of expensive beats and what Kendrick is bringing, hip hop is not dead. Hip hop is alive and well, healthy heartbeat. We can have that breath of fresh air. If you listen to the collector's edition, all of the songs are in a different order. They're backwards, but it gives a totally different perspective of what he's trying to express. He changes it up again. Tell me, sir, do you like pie? Because I give this album soda, burger, fries, and pie. Ooh, yeah.
Tell me, sir, what did you think of that album?
So, in my perfect opinion, I give Kendrick Lamar's album, Damn, a soda, burger, and fries. I would have given him a slice of pie also, but he has a funny voice. And I don't like people that talk funny. Just kidding. I think Kendrick Lamar is one of the last hopes for artistry and creativity in hip-hop. And this particular album is a testament to his love of the genre and music in general. Yeah, he definitely gets that slice of pie to round out his meal of sonic excellence. And that's the bottom line. Why?
Because Stone Cold said so.
Man, you are way too interesting to be left here to your own devices. I'm gonna leave one of these drones behind just to keep an eye on you, make sure you stay out of trouble. But in case you do get in trouble, I'll be able to record it. See you around, cowboy.
Well, you just make sure that all these jabronis watching me comment down below. And after they do that, tell them to subscribe to this channel. And if they have any energy left after clicking that mouse twice, tell them to sashay their little tushies down to the Patreon page at patreon.com/cursewordcircus.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned.
This jabroni thinks he knows everything about music and albums. But the process is, you need to know your role and structure your mouth. I learned in my science 15 room, turn that sub-bass sideways and freaking straight up.